You are on camera. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hold on. This is Marina Lesser. She used to be our esthetician, but now she's working for a med spa. Probably by the time that you're going to see this movie, she's back.
I'll be back. So I'm really still here. Okay. All right. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Gentle Lase, hair removal, also for sunspots. Before we do anything, we always have to get their permission. So this is the consent form. It basically informs them that they are signing their life away, but they're really not. So it's just stating that they're going to stay out of the sun, they're going to be shaved, they're going to be red and bumpy afterwards, apply hydrocortisone if needed, treat it as a sunburn. They're going to sign it, you always print their name on the top, you send it up front, it goes to the scanner, it's in. We have our piece for the laser. So sometimes when you have to check to see if these are dirty, so you kind of look through, you're going to see some spots, it's filthy, we're going to clean it. So how we change it out, take a little pen, put a little nick in here, pull this up, change it out. So I typically like to change these every few treatments depending on how much you're going to treat. Full legs, you probably are going to use one lens and change it the following time. Because if the more nicks you have, the greater risk of having any kind of issue, the treatment wouldn't be as good, things like that. So you really want to make sure that this is really clean before you start. Sometimes I just need a little alcohol to wipe down. But for the most part, you just might have to just take it out and clean it. You see, it's perfect. Can you see that, camera?
Yes.
Good. Okay, we throw these away. They're not reusable. In the trash they go. Okay, so now we are going to start our treatment. We're going to come to the laser here. Here's your goggles. Thank you. So we have our goggles. Everyone has their goggles. So here is our settings here. So we're going to have our spot size. I like to use 18 millimeter because it's bigger. It goes a little faster. So on the screen here we have our joules here. We have the size here. It says 18 millimeter. And we're never going to change the DCD. This is the cryogen, the cooling. It's pre-cooling and after cooling. So the pre-cooling is 40, the after cooling is 60. Other than that, you're not going to touch anything else. This is where the cryogen is located. Now when this gets empty, it's going to say replace canister on here. So when you're going to replace it, you're going to say, oh my, I have to replace it. So we disconnect this part here, undo this, take this out. And then we get the new one, which I usually keep under here. And then if not, if they're not under here, they're in the garage. We'll show you that later. Put the new one in. Make sure it's tight. You put the lid back on. And then you push this back in. So sometimes I just give this a little tug on the bottom here just because it has wheels. I push this back and I put it in. So it says system fault. We're going to put a little check, say okay, we're good. It's going to say it's warming up. Good. So now, this is Kelsey, and she is a skin type probably 2. So for her, she's already had a few treatments. So I typically would probably stick to 18 millimeter, 20 joules, and the DCD never changes. If I wanted to, if she was a first-time patient, I probably would take this down to 18. So I would use the arrow there, I change it to 18. And then now I want to calibrate. So I'm going to go back to 20 because I want to go to the 20. And I'm going to press this here. And then I'm going to press my foot down on the foot pedal. Go to the foot pedal. Okay. So it says confirm spot size. So I'm going to just make sure I have all my settings correct. It's 18 millimeter. Good. Now it's going to calibrate. Release your foot. It's going to say, okay, take this out. So when everything is ready, you're just going to double check again. It's going to say 2018. We're good. We're going to press go. You're going to insert. And then you're ready. You see how the laser has the red? So now we're ready to go. So before we treat her, we've already wiped down her legs, correct? No, you didn't. That's okay. So we wipe down with alcohol because you want to take all of the grease, lotions off the skin. If there's anything present, it can cause a burn. We don't want to cause a burn on poor Kelsey. No burning. No burning. Okay. All right. And then you're also always going to ask, have you had any sun exposure before the last 2 weeks? Have you had any sun exposure in the last 2 weeks, Kelsey? No. Good. So we're going to start on the bottom of the leg here. The overlay is 20%. We're going to go. Always perpendicular. Flush with the skin. You see that? You just do a little pattern. But always nice and tight. How you keep the overlay. You don't want to do too much of an overlay because it can cause a burn. But just enough so that you have a nice tight overlay so that you know that the treatment is going to be really good.
Glasses for me.
Oh my god, I forgot. Look on the bottom drawer there. There should be another pair. Oh, that's so funny.
I was like,
I didn't even see them.
I wasn't sure.
Okay. This is like the color.
Yep, you're good. So it's typical they're going to see some redness, some swelling. And as the treatment goes on, their skin will become really more inflamed. So at this point, when you start seeing like the erythema, all the nice little red flushing, you're going to tell the patient that this is all normal and it should resolve within a few hours. But it also could resolve. It could be up to a week, depending on how thick and coarse the hair is on the leg or anywhere on the body. They can apply hydrocortisone if needed. They can apply aloe or just any moisturizer, or they can just basically just leave it as it is. As long as there is no sun exposure before and after. Oh, this is perfect. It says replace canister. So we're just going to kind of go over here and see if maybe I can get a little bit more out of it. So I'm going to press here. You see where it has this little air coming out there? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just press this and you see how it comes out. Might just need like a little air pocket as we take it out. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Let's see if it's going to let us continue on. Yes, okay. Sometimes I felt it already, so I knew there's still more in there. It doesn't really give you a little bit of a warning, it just kind of does it. So this has a 5.3, which means it probably just needs to be recalibrated. So we're going to put it back.
Can you show how you calibrate it, or it's too late?
I can show her, yeah. Didn't I just show it in the beginning?
I wasn't ready.
Okay, so we're going to calibrate the laser. We're going to go press start here. I'm going to wait for the beep. I'm going to press my foot down. Oh, it's already calibrated. Wait, let me change the setting. Hold on. You know what? That's too hard for you. I'm going to change the setting for you. So I'm going to go to the arrow here. I'm going to lower it to 18. I'm going to go there. So, okay. It says confirm the spot size, 18. Okay. Calibrating. Release our foot, and that's the calibration. Yes, until it tells you not to. Then you always go here. So if you see this, there's no light, you know that you need to press on. Okay, so you can see her skin, it's a little red. It's not too bumpy, but it definitely has a little erythema, which is all normal. And sometimes it can be super, super red, like apple red. All normal. It can be really risen, you know, a lot of swelling. She doesn't have too much, but she has a light skin here. She's not that sensitive, so she's a good model here for us. And again, it's just keeping to your pattern, 20%. Flush, perpendicular. Okay. do it up here and go down so you can see. Let's just do the knee so you can kind of see how you have to kind of turn. See, it's a little bit more. Just make sure that you hold it really tightly. And just keep it really flush. And if you have to go slower, you can make the machine go a little bit slower. But it's hard to keep it perpendicular around like the bony areas and areas that you have to move it around a little bit. So sometimes I usually just really pay attention and I don't really talk too much. I really like to focus because sometimes you don't see how red their skin is. It's not as obvious. So I just really like to make sure, and the knee area is hard because if you keep the knee down like this, you have to stretch out the skin. So sometimes if they want to keep their leg like this, it's fine. You just have to pull it to make sure that you get the whole area.
So it's easier.
Yep. It's a little easier. It's probably easier for you when you start to do it like this.
Okay.
Because it's just, you're not doing the curves, you know? But this one, I always like to make sure that the skin is pulled taut to make sure that you get all the follicles. Do you see how tight that overlay is? That's how it should be. So eventually, like sometimes I know when somebody's doing it to me, it only took them like 10 seconds to do my underarm.
You know,
I know I didn't do it right. So I'm like, no, you didn't do it right. Any questions?
so the reason you did ankle, knee.
No, I was just showing you.
Okay.
I just wanted to get that in on the camera. But usually I start like a little pattern and I work my way up. So I'll go to here, to here, to here. And then I go there, 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 and then I go there, 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 and then I have them turn over and I do the back.
In the same. Okay.
I try to do as much as I can in the front so that they're not on the stomach for too long.
I did notice that was starting.
Yeah. And if you do go over it, let's say like, oh, I don't know if I did that already, don't go back over it because it'll cause a burn, like how she did it on my leg there, I had that white mark. So it can cause a burn and then it can hypopigment. So after this, she's going to have to stay out of the sun for a solid 2 weeks, and if she is in the sun, she's going to have to put some good sunblock on. But if somebody comes in and they're like, oh, I'm going to Florida tomorrow or the next day, you're not going to do the treatment. You're saying, I'm really sorry, but it's not, you can't do the treatment. You can do the treatment on basically anyone with the type 1, 2, or 3. I wouldn't do a pregnant girl. There's just no need to do it. How you doing, Kelsey?
Good.
Does it? So funny.
There's so much more there.
Any other things you wanted me to add in?
Did you talk about everything needed?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
The setting,
Yeah,
if she's not first timer, 20
20.
joules per.
This one only goes up to, I mean, if I do 18 millimeter, it's only either 18 or 20. So I would start at 18. Someone who has super, super, super thick dark hair, it's the first treatment. You may go down to 16, but not that often are you going to do that. And then if you want to go to 15 millimeter, like make it smaller, let's just pretend, let's do this, let's change. So I'm going to change it to 15 because you know what, I want to spend more time with Kelsey and talk to her a little longer. So over here you have this little button. You're going to press it and you're going to go like this, where it's tight. So this is 18.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You press it in, so you kind of slide it in and you let it go, it'll go to 15. So on here, it'll say 15 millimeter now. So now I have to change the settings, so it's a whole different thing of settings. So now I have this, I'm going to recalibrate and change the settings. So when I have 15 millimeter here, I am going to start at, typically my start go-to is 22 joules. So 15 millimeter, 22 joules. The DCD always stays the same. Let's say somebody comes in and they have a thick beard and they want to take that off, they're skin type 2. I'm going to take this down to 18. It's too much.
Okay.
Too much hair, too much heat. They could possibly cause a burn because they have so much, and you don't want to cause any more irritation. It's just too much. Sometimes if somebody still has a lot of hair, it's their first time, and you just want to be more cautious, you can go to 18, or I probably would just start at 20, just to be safe. Or if somebody's they've been out of the sun for 4 to 6 weeks, but they still look like they have a little bit of a tan, I'll take it down to 20 or 18.
Okay.
The highest you can go, let's say they've been here for a while, is 26. I don't always go to 26. It's very rare. I think 22 and 24 is probably where I usually live, between 20 and 24. You
And
can
this
go
is
to
for
26.
what?
15 millimeter.
For 50. Why do you go to 15 altogether?
Yeah.
I don't, because it's too small.
Okay, so that would be.
I don't. I
But
don't
like,
ever.
what would it be good for?
You could do a lip if you feel like it's
Okay.
too big with the 18.
Okay.
I just always say, I always say at 18 because it's bigger. If I had 20, I would use 20, but we don't.
Okay.
And also for the lips?
I would personally probably stick to the 18. It's not that big of a difference. But if you wanted to go to 15, I would do 15, and you can do whatever.
Okay.
I'd probably stick to 22 on the lip. 22 jewels.
Okay.
So when you go smaller with the,
Small side, yeah, it's
then
more.
you can go higher energy, right?
Yeah.
So why is it good to go with higher energy?
Well, because it can hit differently. You hit the follicles differently. I mean, if you have a lot of hair, you don't really need to have a lot of energy because it's too much hair, it's too much heat onto the skin. But if you have somebody who's had their 5th treatment and they still have a significant amount there, you might want to say, okay, I'm going to go 15, 26 because it's going to be more intense.
Okay.
But I think even 18, 20 is really intense, and it's I get really good results with that. So it's safe. Even 18, you can just live there for a long time and never even go there.
Results safe.
Yeah, but if you really want to be super safe, 15, 18. That's like super, super safe. 1, 2, and 3 skin type.
When is it painful and when is it
It's
not?
always painful.
It's always painful?
Always painful,
painful?
except
I don't.
You didn't flinch.
But I think the first 1 to 2 treatments is the most painful is the first treatment. You have the most hair,
Okay.
so more heat, you feel it more. It's only attracted to the melanin, so therefore if you have a lot of melanin, you're going to feel a lot more. So someone who's had their 5th treatment, it's uncomfortable, they can get through it, but it's not as painful as the first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's pretty quick. I mean,
Yeah.
give or take,
Yeah.
I have it on a fast setting, so you're probably going to bump it down. So
Yeah.
here is the milliseconds here, how fast. I have it at 1.5.
Okay.
I'm going to change it for you just to do 1.0, just so you can see the difference.
and you just clicked on it and then went down.
Yeah, I just went down. The arrow takes it down. I'm going to go back to 18. And keep it at 20. I'm going to do the slower, so you'll see how much slower it is.
Okay. And you would do that why? Just cause.
I don't.
Okay.
You are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
it's not as.
It's just not as fast,
Okay.
and I like to be super fast. Okay. So we'll do a little bit more here. See how slow it is? But this will allow you to take your time to really make sure it's flush, your overlay. And it also is a little bit less intense for the patient.
Okay. Because it's not.
Right? Do you think it's a little bit more? So sometimes I think when you go faster, it's a little bit better. So it's definitely a little bit slower. So it's just going to take you a little bit longer.
Okay.
So we're good, right?
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from anybody?
What's the difference between this laser and diode laser?
Well, this is an Alexandrite 755. It's attracted to melanin, the coliform, melanin hair. A diode laser is attracted to water. So that one could be used on any skin type. This one is only for skin types 1, 2, and 3.
Can you speak louder? I cannot hear you.
So this is an Alexandrite laser. It's 755. It's only attracted to melanin. It's only for skin types 1, 2, and 3. A diode laser is attracted to water. So it's really for any skin type. Whereas this one is only for melanin, skin type 1, 2, and 3. And attracted, the chromophore is melanin. The other chromophore is water.
Which one is more effective?
The Alexandrite, 755. We're not friends.
Which one are you going to use when you
I knew he was
are?
going to say it. I knew it. None. I'm staying here, remember? I'll be back in 2 weeks. All right. Any other questions?
What type? How maintenance? What type
maintenance.
of what type of?
So maintenance, it's really important that these lenses stay clean because one, if they're not clean, it's not good for the laser to see through the broken up, chipped, messy lenses. So the lenses need to stay clean so the laser can see through it perfectly. Also in the back here, there's water, so that has to be filled up. I try to fill it up like every 4 weeks. I go back. I actually just did it, so it should be pretty full. So you have to use distilled water only. So you just come back here. Yeah, see, it's pretty full. I just filled it. So when this runs really low, the laser's not going to work. The air conditioning needs to always stay really cold in here because the laser will stop working.
What do
I
you
prefer-
leave it?
You
Well,
don't
see the
touch
top. Yeah, we don't touch it.
Okay, okay.
Don't touch it.
Call me if you need to
Yeah.
touch it.
Every once in a while, I like to play around a little.
And then you said every 4
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of, I better check the water. I better just check it. And then the water I usually keep under here. And then you really want to make sure that this doesn't get bent. This has to always go back into this piece. These can't always go into cavicide right after you've done it. So I take this out, I put it right into the cavicide. I put this right back in here. I try not to run over the wires, so sometimes I put them on top of here so it rolls back without me rolling on top of it. And this just can't be, you can't twist it, you can't bend. It's you have to be really careful with this. So you don't want to mess around.
This is $3,000. If you
fiber-
bend it,
The fiber is
it's
very
coming from your
expensive.
pension.
Exactly. And then let's do sunspots. Let's do a sunspot
Okay.
one, okay? So let's say, go ahead.
other than this.
So let's pretend we're on the YAG laser, and you're going to treat red veins. This whole piece needs to come out because the spot size is going to be 10, 8, 6. So this whole piece comes out. So what you do for that?
Before you take it out, I just want to mention that
Yeah.
it's very often happens to especially new users that they are kind of roll it and all this.
See this? You see how this is not? So sometimes when you're using the laser,
Yes.
people twist it. This is again, you have to be really careful. It happens, but when you see it get to this, you're like, oh, let me get back to where it's supposed to be, because it really will break it. Like after a while, these start to get like frayed, and you have to be really careful. So I put this in. Let's say
That's correct.
this is how.
Okay.
Yes, and it always has to be here. It cannot be like dangling. People, like they want to leave this
And you don't
here.
you don't pull it with it. It's not a dog.
Yeah, don't pull it from here. Just when you have to pull the laser, you have to pull it from here. It has a little lever in the back if you need a little help to push it. It's heavy. So let's say we're going to take this out. We're going to change it to another setting.
Can I take a picture of the screen, or is that not okay?
Yeah,
Just so I can like,
good.
because that's how I.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It'll help me. That way I can like remember. Oh, don't touch those.
Okay. So I'm going to just demonstrate how we take this out if we ever had to take it out for a YAG and the other laser, but it's the same setup. Okay. So we're going to take this out. We're going to push this back here. This pushes out and it just kind of pops out. This kind of pops out. Oh, this one's the hard one. Actually,
You don't turn it.
No, it just kind of pulls out, but it's not really. I'm going to leave that in there for a second. See if you can pull that out, but it's like that one. This one is really hard. Oh yeah. Okay. And then you would take this out. So you pull this one out here, and you take this out. So what happens is you're going to take this whole thing out, take this off, you put the new piece in. This is only for the smaller settings because you need a smaller spot size.
Gotcha.
Okay, we're going to put it back in. We're going to treat it for sunspots, but I need the 15 millimeter. We're going to put this back. I'm going to push this back
Doesn't
like
matter
this.
the order.
I try not to twist all of these up. You know, people, like when you see it, you don't want that, you know, so, and this has a red dot, and that goes on the top. And it should just slide right in. Perfect. Easy. Okay. All right, we are going to treat sunspots. Perfect. So, what we're going to do, there's 3 settings for sunspots. One is for a specific spot. That is, I'm going to do 15 millimeter. And actually, we're going to do the smaller spot. This is like a single, tough little spot. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of seeing it. So we're going to go to 10, I think this is. No, we are going to go to 12 on this, actually. I lied. So if we wanted to change this out to do the sunspot and do the 10 millimeter, you would take this whole thing out and take it out. But because you can use the 12 millimeter, I don't even go to the 10 anymore because it's too much of an inconvenience. So I stick to the 12 and I do 32 joules. For sunspots, you want no DCD. You don't want any cooling on this because you want the sunspot to come to the surface. This laser is the Alexandrite, remember, 755?
Yes.
It's only attracted to the melanin, and you don't want any cooling. You want all that heat into that sunspot to come all the way to the top, and out it goes. So we're going to take down, get rid of the DCD. So I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to press the arrow down all the way to 0. And go to this one. And this one doesn't always go to 0. It just goes to 3. That's the lowest it'll go to.
Okay.
So a single spot, 12 millimeter, 32 joules, no DCD.
So that's really the only time you touch it.
Yes. So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to put the goggles. It's on her face. Always metal goggles. So you always want to wipe the area with alcohol again. You only have to hit it maybe once for the sunspot.
Okay.
So she has a little tiny one right here. We're going to just grab this little guy right here. It's going to turn really red. It's going to be a little swollen. And then the sunspot's going to get really, really dark. Perfect. I'm going to calibrate. You need to see. Now, it doesn't matter if you have it at 12, 15, or 18. This gauge is 18. It can be smaller, but you can't have a 20 millimeter. We don't have a 20, so it's not. But it doesn't matter. You can still use the 12 in the 18. Got it?
Okay. I have to think about it first.
Oh. Oh, that was you. That's okay. I was like, oh no. Okay. So, let's start. You see how the spot size is much smaller?
Yeah.
See that?
Yeah.
So you can still use this gauge. It doesn't have to be a 12 millimeter gauge. We have them, but you don't need to do it.
Is it too much, like,
It doesn't
could go
matter.
wrong?
No, there's
Or,
no, it
like,
doesn't
change it
matter.
out?
No, it doesn't matter though. It's not going to affect the treatment. It doesn't affect anything. It's just easier to keep all of them the same. Okay, so we're going to put it all right the spot right over. 1, 2, 3. See how it's a little bit different? You don't see that DCD coming out. You stop, you wait a couple seconds, and I'm going to might hit it one more time just because. Her skin is young. She can handle it. Now that spot's going to be gone. Now as it goes along, it's going to see it'll get a little bit more red, and it'll turn really, really dark. So 3 to 5 days, up to 2 weeks it'll take for it to resolve. She can put major Aquaphor, and she can also use sunblock every day for this. Let's say she wanted to treat her whole face. I'm not doing her whole face. But let's just say, so the settings would be 15 millimeter, no DCD, and 26 joules.
Why would you do this laser instead of...
Wait, 15 millimeter.
26 joules. 15 millimeter, 26 joules. You can do that for the full face. just a spot treatment, I would do 12 millimeter, 32 joules. There's another setting. If you want to switch it out, you can switch out the whole piece. It's 10 millimeter, 42 joules, no DCD. And that is much more intense, but the 12 is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you? does
I
it
don't
vary?
ever take it out anymore. I
Okay.
used to run around like a maniac looking for it. Now I don't even know if we even have it anymore. So I just stick to the 12 because Dr. Ringfile showed me that little secret. I was like, way to have that little secret in your pocket, Dr. Ringfile. So now I just do that one.
Full face. It's
I do the
15,
15. I would not do the 12 on full face.
No,
It's
spot.
too much.
Okay.
Yeah, spot.
Okay.
15 is fine. If not, it's very rare that I would do this full face with this because it's so painful. I would probably go to the IPL or a Pico, depending on the skin type. All right, any questions?